Karen's laugh was a hyena's cackle, slicing through the quiet street like a blade through butter. She stood over my electric car, a can of spray paint hissing in her meaty grip, oblivious to the felony she was committing. The evening air was thick with the acrid scent of paint and her unearned confidence, as if the world owed her this moment of petty destruction. My Tesla, my pride and joy, gleamed under the streetlights, its sleek silver body now defaced with jagged red letters spelling gas rules. I watched from across the street, my heart pounding, my phone trembling in my hand as I recorded her crime. This wasn't just vandalism. It was a declaration of war from a woman who thought rules didn't apply to her. Karen was the neighborhood's self-appointed dictator, a walking caricature of entitlement. At 300 pounds, she waddled with the swagger of someone who believed her size equaled authority. Her bleach blonde hair, fried into a frizzy halo, bobbed as she shook the spray can. Her lips curled into a sneer that screamed she'd never been told no. She'd been terrorizing our quiet cul-de-sac for months, yelling at kids for skateboarding, berating delivery drivers, and once reporting my dog for barking at her precious lawn flamingos. But this was personal. My Tesla wasn't just a car. It was a statement, a step toward a cleaner future. To Karen, it was a threat to her gas-guzzling SUV and her outdated worldview. I'd seen her eyeing my car before, muttering about hippie nonsense when I plugged it in. But I never expected her to cross this line. As she sprayed another sloppy line across the hood, I stepped forward, my voice shaking but firm. "Karen, what the hell are you doing?" Her head snapped up, eyes narrowing like a predator caught mid-hunt. "Mind your business, eco-freak," she spat, waving the can like a weapon. "This thing's an eyesore, and I'm fixing it." Her words dripped with venom, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. She knew she was being watched. Across the street, Mrs. Nguyen, a retired nurse who'd lived here for decades, had her phone out, recording every second. Her face was a mask of disbelief, her small frame trembling with indignation. Next to her stood Mr. Carter, a gruff mechanic who'd once fixed Karen's SUV for free, only to be screamed at for overcharging. His fists were clenched, his jaw tight, as he muttered, "She's gone too far." The street, usually a haven of suburban peace, felt like a powder keg ready to blow. Karen, oblivious to the growing audience, kept defacing my car, her laughter growing louder, more unhinged. I took a step closer, my voice steadying. "Karen, you're committing a felony. Vandalizing an electric vehicle is a big deal, thousands in damages, jail time." "Stop now." She froze, the can hissing to a stop, but her sneer didn't waver. "Jail? For this?" she scoffed, tossing her head back. "You're delusional. This is just paint. It washes off." Her ignorance was almost comical, but the rage bubbling in my chest wasn't. She'd crossed a line, and I wasn't backing down. "Keep going," I said, holding up my phone. "It's all on video. The police will love this." Her eyes darted to my phone, then to Mrs. Nguyen's, and for the first time, a crack appeared in her armor. She straightened, tossing the spray can onto the grass like it was nothing. "You're bluffing," she said, but her voice wavered. She took a step toward me, her bulk looming, trying to intimidate. "You think you're so smart with your fancy car and your green crap. People like you ruin everything." Her words were a desperate attempt to regain control, but the tide was turning. Mr. Carter stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "Back off, Karen. You're done." The distant wail of sirens cut through the tension, and Karen's face paled. Mrs. Nguyen had called the cops the moment she saw the spray paint. Karen's bravado crumbled as two patrol cars pulled up, their lights casting red and blue shadows across her stunned expression. The officers stepped out, one a young woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, the other an older man who looked like he'd seen it all. "Ma'am, step away from the vehicle," the woman officer said, her hand resting on her belt. Karen sputtered, her hands flailing. "This is a misunderstanding. It's just a prank." I handed my phone to the older officer, the video already queued up. "It's all here," I said. "She's been at it for 10 minutes." Karen's eyes widened as the officer watched the footage, her voice on the video snarling about eco-freaks and fixing my car. The young officer approached Karen, pulling out handcuffs. "Ma'am, vandalism of an electric vehicle causing significant damage is a felony in this state. You're under arrest." Karen's jaw dropped, her face a mix of shock and outrage. A felony? For paint, she shrieked, her voice hitting a pitch that made the neighborhood dogs bark. As the cuffs clicked around her wrists, Karen's bravado melted into panic. You can't do this. I know the mayor, she screamed, her face red and blotchy. The officers were unmoved, guiding her toward the patrol car. Mrs. Nguyen shook her head, her voice soft but firm. You brought this on yourself, Karen. Mr. Carter crossed his arms, a grim satisfaction in his eyes. Maybe next time you'll think twice before messing with someone's property. As they drove her away, I looked at my car, its once pristine surface marred with ugly red streaks. The damage was bad, thousands in repairs, easily, but there was a strange relief in knowing Karen was finally facing consequences. She'd spent years bullying neighbors, belittling anyone who dared to live differently, and now her arrogance had caught up with her. I thought about the countless times I'd bitten my tongue, let her snide comments slide, all to keep the peace. No more. This was justice, not just for me, but for everyone she'd ever trampled. The next morning, the neighborhood buzzed with gossip. Karen's arrest had made the local news, complete with my video footage. The headline was brutal. Local woman arrested for felony vandalism of electric car. Mrs. Nguyen brought me coffee, her eyes twinkling with mischief. She's been quiet for once, she said, nodding toward Karen's house, where the blinds were drawn tight. Mr. Carter stopped by, offering to help with the repair costs. She had it coming, he said, clapping me on the shoulder. You did good standing up to her. Weeks later, I stood in court, watching Karen face the judge. She'd hired a flashy lawyer, but the evidence was ironclad. Me video, Mrs. Nguyen's footage, even the spray can with her fingerprints. The judge didn't mince words. Your actions were malicious and deliberate, he said, his voice stern. You've shown no remorse, and your behavior has harmed this community. Karen was sentenced to 6 months in jail, a hefty fine, and restitution for the repairs. As she was led away, her eyes met mine, no longer smug, just defeated. Driving my newly repaired Tesla home, I felt a weight lift. The car gleamed again, its surface a quiet rebuke to Karen's hatred. But more than that, I felt the strength of community. Mrs. Nguyen's courage, Mr. Carter's support, the officer's swift action. Karen thought she could bully her way through life, but she'd underestimated us. We weren't just neighbors. We were a united front against her kind of venom. Her downfall wasn't just a punishment. It was a reminder that no one is above accountability, no matter how loud they shout or how big they think they are. Karen's house went up for sale a month later. Rumor had it she'd moved to another state, too embarrassed to show her face. The cul-de-sac felt lighter without her, like a storm had passed. I plugged in my Tesla, its soft hum a promise of better days. Sometimes, standing up to a bully doesn't just save your car, it saves your community. And for that, I'd record her 1,000 times over.